I hate to break the fishing news after Chuck, but I'd like to speak about the ice hockey.
Congratulations, you're one of the 13 listeners of the Real Life Podcast.
We just traded a migraine in for like an orgasm.
Might want to mark that down.
Yep. All of my projects are on schedule until they're not.
A member of the Nation Network of Podcasts.
About as funny as we're going to get today.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Real Life Podcast, episode 157. Brand new intro that I haven't even heard yet. Your boy Baggedmilk here. I got Chalmers on my right. I got Jay on my left. Sorry, I got Jay on my right, and then a very special guest, Jason Strudwick, sitting in today. We pried him away from Gregor. He is going to be sitting in. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of stuff. I'm back from Mexico. Although apparently I don't look like I just got back from Mexico.
You wouldn't know it.
I've been taking shit here for the last 10 minutes for not having a good enough tan.
Well, we had our team meeting today, and I think you misheard what I said because I'm like, we had you kind of regale us with your Mexican adventures, and I said, "Did you avoid the sun the whole time?" And then you replied with, "Yeah, I've got a pretty good tan."
I got a decent base, but not a great one. So here's what happened. I was planning on tanning before I went down to Mexico to put a little base down, make sure that I didn't get roasted. I did not do that. I'm a procrastinator. So when I got down there on day 1, day 2, I just burnt to shit. So for the next 5.5 days, I just kind of posted up under a tree near the pool.
How'd this burn happen? Was it like a no sunscreen, just too much time in the pool?
You know what? We
got too drunk?
All of the above. Day 2, we went out on a catamaran. So we were out on the ocean, did a little snorkeling, did all that kind of thing. And I just could not put enough sunscreen on. So back, chest, everything was just roasted. That was day 2. So then day 3, I wake up and I'm in major pain. I'm struggling.
Go in and bought the aloe.
There's a lot of aloe vera. I'm slathering it. I slip and slided through it in my room. It was a whole scene. So from there on, I just kind of posted up under a tree, had a cocktail. And I just lived my best life.
It looks like it.
And then came home and tried to tell everyone that you have a tan.
Well, I tried to. I got to sell it, man.
I think Struds had the advice of maybe you should have started tanning after your trip.
Yeah, like now that I'm going to take that advice to heart, I'm going to go book it in a couple of minutes here on my way home.
Like when I go on trips, I go to my way to get my tan on because I want people to know I was away. I want to have that conversation.
Yeah, when we used to go to Mexico all the times, we used to make it like a regimented thing where you would go tanning. Nobody tans anymore in tanning, but it's like, do they even have tanning? Is there a Fabutan still around?
I think they're still around. Man, I used to live in a tanning bed. I'd go in for 30-minute naps.
Yeah.
That's how I recharged for the afternoon, was in a tanning bed. Then, silver chains, nice.
We're not allowed to wear chains in the booth. Everyone knows that.
Well, I'd take it off, but then I'd pop the chain on, and that silver really pops on this bronze skin of mine.
When you would lay down in the tanning bed, were you full buck naked, or did you take your boxers and like just wrap them around your package? And then up your butt.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I would protect the junk because
I didn't like getting the junk.
The UVs on the junk, because I know, I've stepped on the landmine that is getting deep cold, or like rub 8535 on my, I guess, nuts. And I know how delicate of an area that is, so I just protect that from the UV rays because I'm told those aren't good for you, but it's good enough for the rest of my body apparently.
See, I wouldn't use like socks. I would use my boxers, but so the downside of that is you'd have to pull it up your butt crack so you didn't get like a whole tan line on your butt, but then you'd get like the thong tan line kind of thing.
Yeah, but how small are your swim trunks? Like, does that even matter?
Well, no, but I mean,
like, what are you wearing? I don't see you wearing Speedos. At least I hope I don't.
Do not.
I'm
wear
moving
Speedos.
to a different beach.
Back when we used to go, they were like full on board, like to below the knee almost board shorts.
So why are you worried about a high or low tan on your ass cheeks?
Because I would buy them maybe when I was maybe 5 pounds heavier, and then when I would get to my Mexico bod, they would get a little loose and they would come down, and you would just at the top of the back see the little.
Oh, see, I like that line. I want people to see how white I am normally.
The worry line.
Nice tan.
Well, it shows the comparison. Like, you think I'm white. Well, check this out.
When you're in Mexico, you never know what's going to happen. You might be playing nude volleyball.
Exactly. You gotta keep your options open, and you gotta make sure you're presenting properly in any situation, especially on a Mexican vacation at an all-inclusive resort.
I could not believe the amount of Speedos at this resort, by the way.
They're back.
This was like a very family-centered resort. So they had some adult areas on the beach. They had an adult-only pool. However, the Speedos were everywhere, and these guys were presenting every which way.
I think that's what I'll do when I'm older, and I've got like a real pronounced belly, and it's got like a lot of hair on it. Sure. And like, you got to get a couple gold chains, even though I'm not really a jewelry guy. And just Speedo it up, man.
And just have that nice like in manicure your chest hair. You just have that center puff.
Sure.
And just like the eccentric sunglasses, and just walk around like you just don't give a fuck.
The look was a Speedo, the gold chains, of course, and a fedora. That was like, that was the old.
Now you're talking my language.
That was your look underneath the tree. Board shorts, a long sleeve shirt.
I had board shorts, a hoodie, a beanie, toque, full socks, knee-high socks.
They're probably telling the same story about this guy. This guy, bagged milk was underneath of he didn't get his son the last 5 days.
You kind of seem like the type that doesn't wear flip-flops to the pool. You kind of wear shoes with black socks.
No, he did.
Water socks.
No.
He's got water socks.
It was flip-flops or no shoes entirely, because there was probably an 18-hour window where I didn't know where my flip-flops were.
You got to take a couple pairs.
Yeah, that was a rookie mistake on my end.
Oh, sunglasses and flip-flops, you lose them all like crazy.
Yeah, I take free sunglasses. You get them from radio stations and stuff. That's what I wear down there.
Yeah, never.
If you lose them, it's no big deal.
Oh, it's
Someone steals them, you're like, joke's on you, bud. These are free.
Like losing a pair of $100 plus sunglasses is just, oh God,
I was nervous about it.
Devastating.
I did the mistake of bringing down my nice sunglasses. Unfortunately, though,
you kept them?
Yeah, I did. They made it home. The wedding, though, they were giving out free sunglasses with just like some wedding hashtag on the side. So I was rocking those. I had a bunch of different flavors.
What's the hashtag they had?
It was
forever. Last forever.
Some shit like that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Don't do it.
Yours will last for sure.
Yeah.
Don't do it. They're not going to have that on the glasses.
Well, that was my hashtag.
You see Grandma wearing that around with her. It's not happening.
Grandma probably would approve of that message.
Yeah. I was a 24-hour sunglass guy a couple times. Just like
hiding the pain.
Did you have one of those days where you woke up and people were saying to you like, "Oh, that was fun last night," and you just do not remember a single thing of it?
Wedding day. Yeah. So wedding day, my buddy Rob, we've been friends since we were kids. So I've known him forever. So the night before the wedding, he's kind of confessing on like how much he has to pay for the extras. Like we're talking like $100 a plate for adults. We're talking
keep it in the vault, Rob.
Yeah. Well, he was not keeping it in the vault. So I made a point of best spending his money on wedding day. So I had things wrapped around the head. I was wearing this like ribbon as a scarf, and I had multiple pairs of sunglasses on. I found a grandma hat that I was throwing on, again, protecting me from the sun. It's real nice, basically an umbrella. So that day we ended up in like the disco on the resort.
The disco?
Yeah. And that's where the old memory checks out. And I woke up and I'm wearing clothes, sweating like crazy because apparently I turned off my AC somehow. Just not doing well. Very, very poorly. So I had to get up and I had to pop a couple of Caesars down just to like
even out room right now.
Got her. Caesars is the key to recovery.
Even out the old body chemistry.
Sounds like fun. I want to go to Mexico again.
Yeah, Struds, any crazy Mexico stories are willing to share on a podcast that no one listens to?
Did you used to go off season ever?
Nope. I never. Never. We'd go to Hawaii I love Vegas. That's where I like to go. I like that place. I like Mexico. I go there now with my family. A little different when you're going down than, with Baggedmilk. It's a little different. Sounds like he had a little different experience than I did when I was there.
Well, that was just it, right? Like there was 3 single guys on the entire trip, me being one.
Yeah.
The rest was all people with young kids and toddlers. So the 3 of us that were single, we had a completely different trip than the rest of them. Like the judgment of having 2 Caesars at 10 a.m. I don't need that when I'm in Mexico.
No.
I don't need that at all, Hernan.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
So during like all-star breaks back in the day, did you go? Like, how they all go to trips these days?
Yeah, we used to go. I went to Mexico one time with my wife and some other friends, and then Vegas lots. We went skiing one time, although probably wasn't supposed to, but we did. We went skiing, but just stuff, different things. Like it was always just kind of whatever was close and whatever you could do. One time in New York, we stayed there. Like why go somewhere else? Everyone else is coming there.
Yeah, so, you guys still go to Vegas a lot?
My wife doesn't really like it. I love it. I love that you go there.
What do you love about it?
I love that there's anything you want there. You can. There's no judgment. I remember
at any time.
The last time we went with a bunch of guys, we walking in like 5 o'clock into the lobby, and there's these people walking out of a pool party, and it looked like they were like the French walking out of Russia, right? Like led by Napoleon. They were like dragging each other, and they were sunburned like Baggedmilk. They couldn't even talk, and I'm like, man, that'll never be me. Like that, I would never do that 6 in the afternoon. So we planned a pool party the next day, and we get there, and I remember my buddy Holly and I were like, hey, that won't be us. Like 5 hours later, we're holding each other out, dragging each other out. We were asleep by 7. Like
you don't have a choice.
No, but no one passed judgment, because I walked by families and things like that. Like, hey, it looks like you're having a good time. Yep, trying to. And you just got there, and like I just love that city. It's so much fun. Anything you want to do, you can find. You can have a calm. The person beside you in the room beside you can be just going crazy and blowing themselves up and doing this crazy, and then you can have just a normal sleep. And no one's like, oh, that's just, you're doing something wrong. Like, just, it's so accommodating for every experience you want. I love it.
What's your go-to gambling table?
Oh, I love craps.
So do I. Oh, man.
Throw in the
Field
bones.
pace.
So we're going to Vegas. We're doing a nation vacation in 3 weeks when the Oilers play the Golden Knights on February 26th. There's 53 of us rolling down. And craps was the theme of last trip.
I imagine it will be again.
What's your system in craps?
So, well, I've got a lot.
Everyone's got a system. You got to have one.
We went the year that Buffalo and Dallas were in the Stanley Cup final. I was playing craps when that puck went in at the table, but I'd been there for a long time. So I'd had a lot of drinks. My buddy Jamie McLennan's there, and he's beside me. And there's this guy on the other end of the table. He looked like Tom Selleck. So I was just like, hey, man, yeah, how's it going? But by the end, like, I was pretty chatty. So he got the bones, the dice, and I'd be like, come on, Tom Selleck, we need a hard 8. Hit me with a Tom. Hit me with a Tom. And Tom would sort of hit it. We were jumping around like it was unreal. I'm not like, I was like 20-something. So like all of a sudden, like 10 minutes later, I'm standing there, and these 2 very large gentlemen show up beside me. They're like, Mr. Strudwick, how's it going today? I'm like, good.
Oh, wow.
Thanks.
Here's the name.
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's going really good. He's like, well, you have 2 choices. Either you go back to your room or you leave the premises, but you're no longer welcome to play to gamble here. I was pretty loud. And I'm like, you know what?
And you were on
That's
a heater,
the point
too.
of a
I was
craps
on here.
table.
Yeah,
So
they're
I'm
trying
like,
to cool you.
but I said some other things too. So the guy's like,
right.
I'm like, you know what? I think I'm done playing. He was like, no problem. I took my chips, cashed in, and we went to another bar all the guys were at. The next day I rolled in there. They're like, welcome back, Mr. Strudwick. Have a good night. Like there was nothing but like.
Just a little time
But
out.
that's the thing about a craps table is it's the one place that you're supposed to be loud,
so
and you're
much
supposed
fun.
and like when the whole table's having a good run, it's great. But like you can lose so fast at that game.
You can.
Oh, yeah.
You can. But you have to.
But
like,
we don't talk about the losses.
No, like I love the hard ways. Putting money
do
on
I.
a
See, I
hard
don't
8, hard
do-
6s. I just lose my mind when I hit it.
Do you
It's
only
so
hit
much-
your hard ways if you have them on the come line?
Isn't that the best situation?
only way.
When you're on an 8 and then you bang out a hard 8, and it's just the dream.
Yeah.
But I like playing the come line too. So I put the come. Let's say I have hard. Let's say the point 6. I'll go on 6 and 8, both hard 6 and 8, and the come line. So I just load it up, and then you hit it, you're like, boom.
So when you're
suck
getting,
on
so
it.
if you have like the 6 and the 8 that you always play,
Yeah.
When you get paid out on the 6 or the 8, do you then
I press it.
rebet the 9 or the 5?
No, I press those ones. I
You-
love
oh,
to.
so
I
you
love
just-
to press. So I like to press
Well, okay,
right away.
so now we're getting outside of my scope of knowledge. What's press mean?
So let's say you have $12 on a 6, and usually you get back what, like $10 or whatever, or something like that. So I'll put it again. I'll say press it. So now I make that $12 bet an $18 bet.
Yeah.
And I take back 5. And then I'll let it run. Then once I hit it, then I let it run a couple times. And listen, I don't often win, but I find that when you do that, you make your money pretty quick, and then you kind of lose it.
So my
relatively slowly.
strategy is kind of similar, except I try not to take too much of it back at the time.
That's
I
right.
try to have as much on the table as possible.
Right. Yeah,
So
put it to work.
I start with my goods, and then I start with the wins. I start to pack it on the higher odd things. You
Sure.
know, like get the 3s,
Yeah.
and then once I got all the hard ways and I've got at least something on all the come lines. That's when I just sit back and,
so much
and relax.
fun. And just
if
collect.
and then just collect
But-
until
but-
that 7 comes.
One of my moves was like, let's say you have the dice, you're just about to throw them. I'll just throw it at 10 and be like, high, low. And it just hits the table as the dice come out. Boom. And if you hit it, everyone's like, yeah. And you're just going crazy. Like,
And that's the best.
it's
That's,
so
that's
much.
the other best part of the game is
what a rush.
just throwing your chips
Yeah.
across the table and just saying
Yeah.
all the hard ways, and they just know. And you got your own little
I
section
love
of
it.
the hard ways.
I love it. I love it.
Craps is the only team game in the casino, and that's why it's the best. If you go on a heater, especially if you're the one chucking bones, and you're the one and making money for you feel like God.
You're everyone's friend.
Everyone's friend.
I hate when people go on the don't pass line. So like there's 8 of us and we're all playing to win, and this guy's playing betting against, and I'll just go out of my way to chirp that guy. Like,
I don't like it either.
you're giving us Brad Mojo. Like I hate it. And then when you don't get it, then you cheer because he loses money. Like you like that?
Get him out of there.
It's such a negative attitude.
Exactly. No.
Why would you bet for the whole table to lose? Like what kind of a person are you?
That's right. That's what I say. They're just pricks.
Yeah, they are.
So speaking about a system and being cooled down by security, when we were in Vegas on the last trip for the last nation vacation, these guys that came on the trip gave us these. They made like Oilers Nation like Mardi Gras style necklaces with these giant pendants. And this is after the game, and we were in an all-inclusive, all-you-can-drink eat zone at the game. So I was doing well. I was doing pretty good.
Feeling no pain.
Get to the table, and I've got this system where I put the pendant on the table, and it has to have the nation logo up, and then I put the dice on it, and then set it to the double sixes, hard 12, and then I go and chuck, and I went on a fucking run.
Come on.
So much so, same thing. Like security comes and is like, sir, you can't put your pendant on the table anymore. And then sure as shit, like 2 rolls later, crap.
That's such a kick. I hate when something disturbs it. Like I hate when you're playing and the table's hot, then someone's like, oh, can I get in? And they put like $20 in. Then everyone has to wait for this guy to fucking change.
Color up,
That just drives me. When the table's rolling, it should be a no inclusion.
Or somebody that colors up and wants to leave.
Yeah, like it should be. Once you're in, you're in. You can't jump in and you can't jump out.
Yeah,
because the flow is around the table.
Oh,
What's your view on people who aren't playing rolling? But if I'm playing and I let my wife
That's
roll.
fine.
Okay, you're
you
cool
have
with that?
skin in the game. Yeah.
So that's what we were doing. We were letting our wives roll.
Well, I always
and
want them
they
to
went.
roll.
That's the thing. I don't necessarily think I'm very good at rolling, even though I know it's a chance thing. This thing in me, I try to put them on. I put them on threes. I throw them. I'm not good. I've never been on a run.
Yeah, but that attitude you wouldn't be.
Yeah, well, exactly, and so I know myself. but my wife and a buddy of mine's wife went on a big run, and so I'm wondering if people are looking at they're all winning too, so they shouldn't care.
It doesn't matter.
I don't think they let people roll unless if I have the dice and I just give it to some girl sitting next to me I don't even know and she's not playing. She's not invested. I don't think she's going to do the best for me. No, in my opinion.
Yeah. Now, when you throw the dice, right? I don't know. Welcome to the Real Life Podcast, where we just go off the rails and talk about nothing that we're supposed to. Yeah. There is a segue. I can bring playing craps to Mike Smith and then the Battle of Alberta if we want to.
Yes.
When you roll the dice, do you like shake your moneymaker and toss them down, or do you grab them from the top and do like the backhand slap?
Well, everyone's got their own moves. So I'm a lefty, so what I do is I bring them right in front of me and I pinch them, and I like to see pairs on top. Yeah. And then I rub them like 2-3 times on the ground. Then when I throw them, I make sure that they hit the back wall and then right on the ground. Like I don't want it to be a high hit on the ball. I just like a low hit and down,
man.
And then it bounces back. Yeah. And then when you hit that hard 8, boom. Jacked up.
When you get a couple drinks in you, though, hitting that back wall
gets
on
harder.
the high, that's high. You must throw a
harder.
couple dice off the board and go.
Yeah, when I'm playing craps, I only drink Bud Light. That's what keeps me.
So kind of like water.
Upright. Yeah. If you get too crazy, because you don't want if the craps go. I hate when the dice go off the table and someone asks for new dice. Oh, new dice, no, same dice. Go tackle that person who stole that die. Like you need it.
So this can be the segue. I was at a hockey tournament this weekend, and we were playing in Wetaskiwin, but we were staying at the beautiful Best Western in Camrose Hotel and Casino. So we were, all the parents, we've had 3 hockey games that day. The kids are spent, but they still wanted to go swimming. We went swimming. We put them all in a room. They're pretty old. They have iPads. One of the parents stayed with them. They can FaceTime us if they have a problem. So the rest of the parents go down to the casino.
Sure.
Right? Well, we've mentioned on this podcast before that Mike Smith's sons are on our team.
Yeah.
And so the kids are all in a room. We're all in the casino. And the minute that happened in the Battle of Alberta, every single person in that casino stopped worrying the goalie fight.
Yes.
Yeah.
The goalie fight.
Yeah.
The melee, which I didn't like. I saw it in front of the net. I wasn't thinking too much. The casino shut down. Not one reel was spinning. Yeah. Everybody was turned and looking at the TV. It was the most excited I've been around a hockey game in a long, long time. And you don't get to see it anymore. And so it kind of brings up a couple things for you,
Before you get into that though, Chalmers, I am very excited about something as well.
Sure.
It is our friends at Japa Machinery.
Just 45 seconds quick.
Oh, I think this Battle of Alberta conversation is going to go long, so we should plug our friends at Japa. As pipeline work kicks off here in Alberta, Japa Machinery Group has new and used 36 and 47 ton excavators available for rent or purchase to complement existing fleets. Personally, I am a fan of the 47 ton. Whatever you're into is up to you. Our XE470s would look great on your site, and Japa also has service trucks available to assist on any repairs or any winter maintenance your machines might need in the field. Or if you need any ice, lugging, or tarping, bring your equipment by our shop in Atchison. Go check out our friends at Japa Machinery. They are fine folks. They have fine equipment, fine service, and fine help whenever you need it. Chalmers, go ahead.
Sorry, let me jump in because this ties into Japa. I watched the BOA game with Sean Green from Japa, and me and him, because we like the old school of way of hockey, that game had us out of our chairs and jumping up and down and yelling at the television screen. It was unreal. So that
was happening at the casino, which was amazing because this casino's not that big, doesn't have a craps table. Yeah. Awful.
Then it's not a casino.
Yeah. They have blackjack switch, which is just blackjack and the casino's way of making you now play two hands at once.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. This whole place shut down. Everybody's watching the TV. You know, the next day I'm listening to ESPN radio. I'm listening to like American feeds who never talk about hockey, and they're talking about this game. Like, it was so good for hockey. Like, what do you think? Like, it's 2020. The game's changed. We get it. Was it a better game in 2000 when this was maybe more of a occurrence? Not a goalie fight, but just like a real rivalry that has tension, that has dramatics.
Like, I guess, like to add to that, like, what's your thoughts on just like the recent like 3-week span of the Battle of Alberta?
Well, I think overall the game is less. There's less passion and less intensity in the game, and I think that's something I've been very open with, and I oftentimes find the games boring. You know, there's no doubt the overall skill of players is higher. You know, you go through 1 through 20 or 1 through 18 skaters. What guys can do with the puck and without the puck we've never seen this level of skill throughout all those guys. The problem is that the game has moved away from a lot of intensity and you know, a little bit of dirty play and, you know, some fights, things like that. And that's the passion is what I think connects us to sport. Skill is great, but, you know, and not to be rude, but like the move that McDavid made on Morgan Riley was ridiculous. But that didn't get the coverage of this Battle of Alberta these two games did. And what he did was a lot harder to accomplish, like on a personal level, than what everyone did in Battle of Alberta. But that was all, you know, in the case, 20 guys or 40 guys or whoever are playing, all of them were involved emotionally. You know, you got Sam Gagner poking at a puck that, you know, we would have been a little pissed off if you're an older fan seeing him go for it, but you love seeing that. You see Ethan Bear fighting out, like Ethan Bear, and Ethan Bear's legend grew exponentially through that moment. And, you know, I'm not sitting here saying that guys have to fight, but the passion is what connects us. And I think that's what lacks in the regular season. Then you get to the playoffs and you see more of it. But, you know, people can't wait. April 4th, like that ticket's going to be the hottest ticket. People are so excited to see that game and what it could mean. Maybe it's a playoff spot. Maybe it's a home date. Who knows what happens? But I just think that the overall passion intensity is in there because players are growing up doing something different. So I have kids who are 8 and 6 years old, and they're growing up watching these amazingly talented players make amazing moves, but they're not watching what I watched. When I grew up, I was watching Wendell Clark run guys over, Bob Probert dummy people, Luke Richardson try to slash people's arms off. I wanted to be like that. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be those types of guys. There's no little, you know, my son Kane isn't like, oh, geez, I'd like to be like, who hits in the NHL? Well, that's a good question. There aren't really any.
Josh Archibald, apparently.
Yeah, but you know, and the's really not a lot. Like, how many open ice hits do you see, right? And we do. There's a big fight after. So it's the game's changing, and for people of our generation who've seen this and this type of intensity, it's a real drop off when there isn't it. So when you do see it, that's why you get the coverage, because like that's crazy. Like, and to be honest, like it was crazy, but I wouldn't say it was like out of control. You know, we've seen way bigger brawls in the past than we did from that game last on Saturday.
It's a shame knowing kind of. To me, after Wednesday's game, the stage was kind of set for something again on the stage was set for something on Wednesday, and then it even set it even further for the game on Saturday. And this is where, like, if the NHL, I know it's a very sensitive subject of promoting the aggression side of the game because of all the stuff that's going on around that. But like, if you're NBC, you got to pick that up, and you got to know that's a game you want to show to your American audience to help grow the sport, because everyone would have loved. Right. It's like 3% of people that didn't like what happened in that game.
But the problem is, that game it'll happen like that less and less as we move forward.
Well, when's the last time it happened?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's a unicorn, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be harder and harder to find that. When you see a little bit of animosity, people are like, oh my God, look at these two guys. But really, they're a little bit of pushing and shoving, and there's really nothing major. Mm-hmm. So that's the hard part. So you can promote it, but you might not see that again this year.
That's and that's very valid. I'm just hoping that, like, the one thing that, and once again, I could be extremely biased towards a certain team in Edmonton than others in the league. You got to think that this week, like, we outplayed Calgary, except for coming out flat in the first on Wednesday. We deserved to win, but Rittich kind of stole the game from us because he saved everything, right? And then he did the stick flip, right?
Which was another great storyline going into Saturday. Which
obviously enraged the team, and there's still some bad blood and some stuff percolating, which all, Edmonton showed up on Saturday and made a statement. Do you think, like, this is like, do you think this is going to bring the team, like, super close? Like, they just came and just, like, threw down. Like, they went full playoff mode and just threw down and made the other team look silly.
Yeah. 100%. Like, everyone remembers kind of what your role was in that game and how you contributed. And everyone should feel really good about that. There's two ways to bring a team together quickly. A night out, which, teams have anyways, with some drinks. And then the other night is a bit of like a tough, hard fought kind of little bit of a fight-filled game, because everyone's like, yeah, I was in there and I was doing this and we were battling, and remember when you did that? And everyone's got a story to share. Now that team is galvanized, they've come close together. And I don't know that they have to go around now try to beat up the rest of the NHL, but they know how far an Ethan Bear is willing to go. Or when Sam Gagner scored that goal and his reaction, having two hands in the air and one leg in the air, like, that's a 7-3 goal. You're probably not doing that if it's tonight against Phoenix, but against that team, you're like, oh yeah, look at this party. Or Gaetan Haas's reaction. Yeah. Like, all that stuff, it just brings you together, and you get a little bit of swagger and brings a team closer together.
It shows that, like, on Wednesday, what I noticed was in the first period, everybody was so preoccupied with what might happen that nobody was playing, like on the Oilers at least, nobody was really playing hockey, right? Not until Nuge all of a sudden fight took a little bit of tension away. Then the Cassian and Tkachuk thing happened. And in the second period, from that momentum, they couldn't get us out of the zone. We started playing like a real hockey team, and like I said, it was a heartbreaking loss where we kind of lost the small battles and then we lost the war of the game. But in this game, it was like, we're not letting that fucking happen again. And in my opinion, it completely flipped, where we won the small battles and then the overall war we won. And that's the type of thing that, like you said, where these guys go, look, you saw my commitment level. We all had the commitment to the team now. We're so much closer together just because, like you said, we know what everybody's willing to do now, and for the cause, for the greater cause of, and this is what happens when we do it. We win. Yeah. Handily.
Right? And that's a concern for the Flames, that they really got beat. Take all the fights out, take the goalie fight out. Like, they had no answer for Leon's line. I thought that they got worked. Johnny Gaudreau was invisible.
He's been invisible.
It's a real challenge. Like, they have some significant issues to address to figure out how to compete. And I think it goes back to last year's playoff series against Colorado. That's one of the most lopsided dummyings in the first round we've seen. And Colorado's not a physical team, but they were bigger and stronger and just pushed the Flames right out of it. So Trey Living, he's got some issues he's got to address. And I'm not suggesting that Gaudreau's not a good player or these other guys, but you've got to find a way to contribute in a tight, hard-fought game like that. Yamamoto did. And, stick on puck and the way he was getting to the net. And, like, Yamamoto has that ability to get into the hard areas without getting caught up with bigger men. He's just kind of there, and then he's out, and he's in. He's just kind of like he's just quick, right? And Johnny has to find a way to do that as well, because they need him. He's one of their best players, and he's invisible.
Yeah. Do you think this is a little early or the perfect time for this type of galvanizing performance for, like, what we need in a playoff run?
Oh, perfect
is it
time.
Perfect time?
Because you're halfway done this, well, more than halfway, whatever you want to call it, but now you have, 30 or 29, whatever's left.
They're building momentum.
You're starting to get going, you're rolling. Then now it's like, this is the standard now. This is how we play. So if player XYZ fall off, you're like, guys, this is how we play. This is not like that. We play like this, and that's their standard. So
just not too early to, like, lose that, to kind of wear yourself out. But almost.
But they're not playing like that.
I just
every
always
game.
see the teams that get like the lightning in a bottle, like a month before playoffs.
Yeah, but the Oilers are trying to get in the playoffs. This team isn't 10 points clear of the Vancouver Canucks, right? So they're in a fight. And if they don't realize that, then they probably won't make the playoffs. So they need every positive thing to go for them because we've seen them drop off before and they don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm. No, but like just this past week, I think just reaffirms with me, my biased opinion that I think they're going to make the playoffs. Like, it's a different team this year. Like, just witnessing how they got together and just went to war this week just tells me that room is tight. And these guys are willing to put in the effort together as a team to try to get us to the playoffs. And I now actually believe it. I'm not just saying it, I actually believe it.
A couple things that I love from that game is, one, where was Milan Lucic? Invisible. He was invisible. Did he swat at anybody? Did he push anyone? And then the second thing I loved was watching the game. Ethan Bear and Matt Tkachuk are going at it, and you're like, all right, Ethan Bear throwing him. And then all of a sudden, Mike Smith wanders up to center ice, and he's got the Ken Dryden pose on top of his stick, just waiting for Taubes. Yeah. And then there's a great photo. Actually, Chris, the intern, got it, of Darnell Nurse pointing at Cam Talbot saying, get out there to Mike Smith.
Yeah, pointing at Mike Smith, yeah.
And all I could think about was, I don't know if you want any of that, Cam.
The reach on Mike Smith. I mean, he's like, what is he, 6'7"?
Oh, he just...
He's a big man.
I got a lot of respect for Talbot because, you knew that was going to be a losing proposition, but you know what?
You took shots at a guy.
Well, that's the thing. He was accountable. He knows he went out of his crease. He's popping guys with blockers, and, the old or the code that doesn't really get followed too much states you've got to pay the price for that, and then then he I loved it.
Not even pay the price, just do the job that comes afterwards.
Well, that's paying the price for those actions, right? So
I respect him for it big time.
Struds, you played in an era where there was some of that. Do you got any good stories of just crazy brawls like that and goalie fight? Have you ever been involved in a game with a goalie fight?
I don't think I have. The goalie fights are pretty rare at any level. But
as we said earlier, that was the very first ever goalie fight in a Battle of Alberta.
That's ridiculous.
It's a crazy stat.
No, but I remember in junior one time, I was fighting this guy, David Jezlowski. We had nicknamed the Last Warrior because he fought all the time. And so he and I, we get into this fight, and I'm like, it's in Kamloops, and like the fans start going crazy. I'm like, I'm doing okay, but I wouldn't say I'm beating the wheels off this guy. And then, we kind of slow down. I look around, everyone's fighting. Everyone else, like, what the hell just happened? So it's kind of scary in those situations because, I have my guy, and I'm not worried about the guy who's directly in front of me. I'm worried about someone coming out of nowhere and just
There's not enough refs for everybody.
And that's the scary part, you just never know what's going to happen. And, and even the minors, a couple of times I was in multiple fight situation, and you're like, I've got my guy, but does everybody else have their guy? Yeah. You're like, I know that little fucker on my team's not taking the guy, so someone's open, and I remember it's crazy. It's a crazy feeling, but I think we got to talk about that skate for Cam Talbot from his crease to Mike Smith, because you're going to a death, and I've been in that before where it was. I remember
Murderer's Row.
The kick on the back, and you just go, "Oh God, I don't want to go out there now."
Like it's the worst feeling when you used to play in the NHL and it'd be like 4-1 or 5-1. You're like, "Please God, don't score anymore. Like let the other team score or let us score." And then they'd score, and then be like, they'd put out their goons, and you just be like, "Oh God, please!" And it'd be like Strudwick left wing. You're like, "Oh fuck." So you and I remember we were playing against. I was Chicago. We were playing against Boston. They had Christoph Oliwa. So I skate on the ice, and my Ryan mate was Chris Simon. So I was supposed to be on the left wing, and he skates over. He's like, Struddy, right wing this shift. I'm like, fuck me. So Christoph follows on the other side. So I look over at this guy, and he's like going crazy. So I skate over like I'm all tough. I'm like, oh God, please, someone pull the fire alarm, like anything, right? So we end up fighting. It's a good fight. I actually get the better of him, which is a miracle. And he's like, again, the bench, I'm like, okay, thank God it's done. He's like, we're fucking going again. We're going to kill you. I'm like, oh, fuck, again? So we go out there. Meanwhile, we keep scoring. So now I got to go out there and fight him again. And I'm like, geez, give me a chance. So we fight again. But I remember afterwards, I just met my now wife. And I'm like, I can't believe it. I thought I was going to die. And it's because it's just that skate from A to B is a really scary thing because it, what's going to happen. This isn't ending well. Like the best thing that can happen is you tie. Like for Cam Talbot, his best was a hope he's just tie a fight. That's not a good feeling going into a fight.
You know what the best part about that is like you don't seem like somebody who would have been scared to drop him. And I know there's bigger guys out there, so but it just goes to show like even fighters who know this is the game I got to fight, there's got to be that level of just like I don't even want to. It's not scared, but it's just like that. intensity in them. That's the nervousness.
It's like George the Rock. Everyone, he was in the minors the first year, my second year. We had a tough team. He'd beat everybody up. So the guys are like, Struddy, you can beat him. He's got a glass jaw. I'm like, yeah, you're right. He does. So I skate out there, and Ralph Internuvo's, I don't know what it was. Ralph Internuvo had this big nose, and he was on line with George. And I skate by and slash Ralph. I'm like, fuck you, you little whatever. And he's like, George's going to get you. I'm like, fuck you, I'm going to beat him up. And George's like, oh, we're going. I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going. So we dropped the gloves, and like, I don't even get a punch off. He's absolutely tossing me around like a rag doll. And all I hear is Ralph, I told you, Strudwick, you fucking pussy, you fucking pussy. I'm like, fuck you, fuck you. And I'm trying to fight George the Rock, and he's just absolutely annihilating me. So we have to go off. Then I go into the dressing room because it was near the end of the period. So I'm just sitting there like, oh God. And the guys come in like, good tries, good. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Try. So then I got to put my helmet and go up for the period. The back of my head was so full of lumps. I could barely get my helmet on. They basically just took like a garbage can lid and put some tape. Like, wear this. I'm like, oh, thanks a lot.
You ever go to a middleweight or a Ralph Internuval type of class of guy in your team and just be like, look, I can't fucking do it.
That's right.
But I want to kill that guy. So can you go fucking do it?
I played this one guy, Freddie Knipscher in the minors, and he was a good player for us, but he chirped a lot. And I was happy to go in and fight his fights. But there's this one guy, Murray, I think his name was Rob Murray. And he wasn't very big, and he'd always chirp me like, fuck you, Strutter, you're a fucking worst player. I'm like, and Knipscher's like, yeah, you fine. So he'd get into it, and Freddie look at me like, are you gonna fight this guy? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? He's the same size as you. So I remember I went into the intermission. I'm like, hey, you fucking fight that guy. I'm not fighting this guy. Like, I fight everyone else. You fight the same guy's size as you. And we got into an argument and whatever. He didn't like that, but I'm like, I find the big guys, you have to fight somebody.
Weight classes.
There has to be some give back because I can't do it all the time, you know?
How do you think Nuge and Monahan did in their weight class?
Oh, it's perfect.
It was great, hey?
No one's going to get hurt.
You know what? It had a feeling of, do you remember when, who was the Russian guy that was slapping?
Semen.
Yeah.
And playing the drums.
When they came apart, almost like they didn't know how to grab each other in a fight. I was like, oh God, what are they going to start throwing double fists here?
Nuge knows what's up. The thing I like about the Nuge has got the fire. It's his third fight.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's two guys that in a situation, I felt that kind of got things going.
Yeah,
unraveled because it was two guys and that shows you how much intensity was on that ice. Two guys that you would never think would fight, and they don't know what they're doing, but I loved it. And you can see the guys on the bench like, yeah, and no one's going to get hurt. Like, is Monahan going to drop a lucky punch or vice versa? So it was and to me, that shows the level of intensity that's on that ice, and that's what you want to see. You don't want to just see the normal suspects doing it all the time.
Mm-hmm. No, the whole building was just yelling Nuge. Like, I got everyone exactly, and that just like opened the door. Then the game started.
Yes. Yeah.
There was turtles dressed up in Calgary, hey? Right behind the Calgary bench. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Struds, I don't know if you know this, but Wanya and I and a few others dressed up as turtles.
Oh, really?
Those costumes look good, too.
Legit costumes. Spent a lot of money on it, but we must have took 1,000 photos, and it was unreal.
Yeah, I was at the game. I walked around. I saw you guys. Well, I saw
with the big
turtles.
Heads?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I saw it. There was a few other turtles.
Fuck, if I saw you, we would have mauled you.
There was the Ninja Turtles who showed their faces. Yeah. Then there was you guys there was 5 of you.
Yeah.
Big heads. And then there was like another set of turtles. I was like, this is awesome.
There was a few. It was great.
Was there any negotiation having to get those things through security?
No, I was shocked. I thought we were going to have to take the heads off and sneak them and smuggle them in. But we went up to, and like, shout out, maybe I'm getting someone in trouble, but like, we went to like the like there's the lineup for like loge seat and box ticket holders. Yeah. And we just said, hey, we're turtles. This is like, we need to get out there to take photos. We want to get in behind the glass of the Flames glass during warm up. Like, can you hook us up? He's like, come on in.
But I think the organization needs it. The NHL needs characters that come to the game. You're not hurting anybody. There's no fighting it, but it brings a carnival atmosphere. Yeah. And you could feel it that night. There was a carnival atmosphere at that game, and that's what you need.
Oh yeah, people were just getting it was like a Saturday night game. People were just getting after it, like just like the energy and the build up towards it. But like just our little stunt there, like we got a bunch of photos, which is good, and all those get shot out. Right, which is good. We got on the Spittin' Chicklets Instagram account for our efforts. That's like all this great awareness anyways around all that. So that it's a no-lose situation.
100%.
Like, unless we're like being assholes about it, but we weren't.
No.
Like, fuck that. Like, we took so many photos with kids. Everyone was just loving it. It was like, honestly, like, and I wasn't drinking. I'm ever since the Finns were here, Struds, I'm on a 3-week dry kick.
Oh, really?
So I'm doing this sober, and I was having the time of my life.
So how, after that game for the Oilers, the other good thing about them coming all together in that game in Calgary, they flew to Phoenix that night and landed, which means they had all of Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, you got to think that's like rookie party night, eh?
Yeah, maybe down
where the waste management was in Phoenix. They got to spend that whole day and then have a day off the next day. Well, not a day off.
Yeah, that was a
Sunday
green
was
light.
a day off, but you got to go
That was a
skate,
green
right? So
light.
you got to get to work the next day, but they had to have done something
Oh,
fun.
for sure. You
Super
got
Bowl
to
for
celebrate that game.
You got to. It's and we'll see how much they celebrated based on the game.
I was going to say, is that how we'll tell?
You can always tell when it's a little bit like I think St. Louis had a couple good nights in Edmonton because they look like they had a good party. And you don't want to throw guys on the bus because we did it too. Yeah. But there's part of it you have to, as a coach, you have to manage on ice development, but also the off ice development of bringing teams together. And you have to recognize that guys just battled 3 hard games. Like everyone battled. So you can't say, hey guys, a 9:00 curfew. Not that NHL coaches would, but you have to, so that practice probably Monday there was a lot of guys tits up, which is, whatever.
Yeah.
But, and then you hope that the guys say, hey, we had a good 3 games. We had a good couple nights. Now let's buckle down and have a good game in Phoenix.
When you were playing, were you on the all bar team? Were you one of the guys that could stay out late?
When I was younger, yeah. But when I got older, like I remember when
Just
the hall
every
those
year.
guys would come in, they're like, let's go out. I'm like, buddy, I've already done what you've done. And I've done it better, quite honestly. And longer.
And was there any young guys that would also go out with you and you just be like, I know this is going to be a bad day tomorrow for him?
But yeah, you could see it. You could see it coming. I mean, as when I first entered the league, it was not uncommon to have a bucket of beers with dinner night before a game. I remember the first time I sat down with Dana Merzen, Hank, and he's like, what do you want to drink? I'm like, I'll have some Pellegrino. He's like, I'll have a bucket of beers. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I didn't expect that, but I guess, we're doing this. And so you have a few drinks and then, I would kind of tap out early. I wasn't, legit, but those guys would just have their couple more buckets and go home at like midnight and not even flinch. Now it's like, beer. We can't have a beer. We got to, whatever. We're not going to have nothing. Just, our protein shakes and stretch out and get in a hyperbaric chamber for a good night's sleep. Like it's different. And that's why it's harder, I think, teams to bond. You have to do extra things for teams to come together. Cause you got to have the right players on the ice, but I think there's got to be some bonding off the ice. So you play for each other.
That's the one thing I hate the most about social media is the fact that if I saw a team full of guys on a night where they played the next day and they were having drinks, I personally wouldn't think a thing about it. Right. But there's a lot of people that if they saw a picture of guys and there was bottles of wine around, they'd be like, what the fuck are they doing the night before? It's just, and that is like, gotta make it harder for these guys to go out and do, like you said, one of the 2 things you can do as a team to bond. And that is on the road, go have drinks, go out, be together. We don't, we can hold each other accountable there too,
No, I think about some of the things we did, and my buddy Newells used to have these every year, just historic parties. It was a 70s party on the Friday night, it was a pub crawl on Friday night, 70s party on Saturday night, and all these NHLers would come in, like Rob McGeer and all these guys. It was unbelievable. And Rhett Warner, we were in the Cowboys on the West End, and I was
R.I.P. What a great place.
R.I.P. It was great. Oh man, I had a pretty good night going on. I remember I looked over, and Rhett Warner was naked except for a saran wrap diaper, and I remember thinking, what is he doing? But you know what? Like it would like now it'd be like snap. It'd be all over. You wouldn't even do it. You'd be like jumping on to get him out of there. But that was like, it was so funny. And I that's one of my favorite things I've ever seen. Not his hammer, but just like the guy serving drinks in the back of a saran wrap diaper and didn't even flinch. And we were all like, hey man, what's up? And just keep the party going, right?
You and George run into each other at Cowboys a couple of times, I'm sure.
I've saw him around. Yeah. The big man.
Yeah.
The big
Took
man.
up a lot of space.
They're in Rum Jungle.
Oh
He'd
yeah.
post up at Rum Jungle. Did you ever go to the Rum Jungle?
Yeah, a couple times. Yeah, it was. I liked Barry Tees. That was my.
See, I was a little too. I got in when I was 16, and then it kind of died.
Very first time we ever went to a bar was Barry Tees.
Chalmers'
because my
sister snuck us in,
my sister was dating a guy, and her brother was a stripper there on ladies' night. So we went on a Tuesday.
Yeah,
I remember that guy.
Yeah.
So I'm 16. And there's this stripper guy we're connected to who's getting us into the bar, and he's just like
jacked.
Just
and guess what he drove?
jacked.
Guess what he drove? Jeep California tops.
Yeah,
no top on it.
jacked up tires. But I was just like, this. I'm 16. I'm like, this guy's my hero.
Yeah, this is who I want to be.
He was
a male stripper on Tuesday night.
Oh, and it's telling me he's making $50,000 a year, and but at that time that's like $1 million. And then we walk into Barry Tees, and I'm just like you just see the lights. And I'm like, this must be what Vegas is like. You just
and we didn't pay for a drink. My cousin and the.
I love that place.
I was on
16 years old.
I was talking about that for a year that night.
Vodka slimes. I always drink vodka. That's what it was on. At the back bar, vodka slimes for $2.50. And you're like, what? $2.50? Nobody back there. You had no money, right?
Nobody drinks a good vodka slime anymore.
I don't.
It's a lost
weird.
art.
It is
so good. They were so good. And oh my God.
I guess we got to make, because now as we get older, you kind of got to remove the the sugar from the equation because
that's why it's vodka sodas.
So, but if we can find like a new age millennial slime, if you will, that's got like sugar free. Or just put the lime juice in or whatever. But like vodka slimes,
So good.
fuck, are so good. And Struds is a big China White guy.
I do like
so that and the slimes, like you're on a mission for diabetes.
You know, when I'm out, it's pretty. If I'm out for a long enough time, it's not uncommon. Pretty much every time, someone buys me a China White, and they think it's like they're like, hey, we got you a China White. I'm like, great.
Yeah,
they think I'm kidding. I'm like, I love it. Like, thank you.
These shots, the shots China White, right?
Yeah.
You love that's your go-to.
It's
eh?
so good.
They
It's
are
so
tasty.
Good. Oh, they're so tasty.
What is
there's
exactly?
no booze
It's
in 'em.
Kahlua? No.
I think isn't there some Baileys in there? Then
But
the top,
Baileys,
the cinnamon on the top.
Yeah.
The cinnamon to me just
that's what
blows
gets
it
you.
up. Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
But
I
even
don't
I was
know.
in Cameron this past weekend for a hockey tournament. We were out for dinner, and all these teams were in there. And this guy walks up, he's like, "I'm a huge fan. Can we just have a China White?" I'm like, "Absolutely!" Like, not even a question, man. Like, so in front of my whole team, my kids are 8. I'm like pounding this China White, but I'm like, boys, and girls, this is what it's about, you know.
So,
well, I guess that's a good thing to be known for because forevermore, people are gonna be come up to you and want to do a shot of China White for you on their dime.
Yeah, it's great. You know what? And they enjoy it, and I'm like, I'm happy to pay if they want to do it. It doesn't matter. But people think I'm kidding, but I genuinely like it. It's a good drink.
it's 3/4 of an ounce of creme de coco and a quarter ounce of Bailey's Irish cream.
So it's
some
really
cinnamon- with some
creamy. So
cinnamon
not for
on
the
top.
lactose intolerant. So there's dairy freers out there.
You just said that you went to a hockey tournament with your 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Now our 8-year-olds play against each other.
Yeah.
They used to play in the same, but you moved.
Yeah.
How was your experience out of town? We had our parents, like, it was great. We had such a good time. Was it the same with you guys?
It was,
like,
like I sent the
busy?
message out before. Like I think the out of town tournaments is a reward for the players and the parents. You know, you're going out there for the parents, they get to just go hog wild. They're in a hotel. There's not a lot of driving going on. And then for the players, like, they get to hang out with their buddies. And so I don't really, I want the kids to do well, but at they're 8, they're novice. Like, does it really matter if you win or lose? It doesn't matter. But what they'll remember is that time together and that bonding time. And what I try to do every step of the way is I want the kids to just get more hooked into hockey. So by having a great weekend time with their buddies and their parents being really mellow because of a few drinks, like, everyone has a good weekend and we all go away feeling good about ourselves. So that's kind of my goal in a weekend tournament.
Yeah, what I noticed with the kids was that the Saturday, we don't normally, it's normally like 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday in those away tournaments. Well, we just happened to have a schedule where we had 3 games on Saturday. So most of the time it was basically like game. We all went out for lunch, so big team lunch, then back to the arena for back-to-back games.
Sure.
Basically, we didn't even leave our dressing room.
Awesome.
And the kids, like, you just see them and they're playing like mini sticks in the hallway.
Yeah.
Like, they're going 100% all day, and they're loving it. They're not fighting with each other. Some of the younger brothers are getting involved, that was what I noticed about it. And then we went to the swimming pool at the hotel afterwards. These kids went from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. nonstop, and like, not one issue. The kids got along great. Everybody was involved. I loved it. I thought it was great. I would have loved to have us do that like maybe week 3 of our season. Yeah. Bring them all together early, but they are 8. So
it's hard to find novice tournaments.
It
If
really
someone's
is.
looking
That's what
for
we found.
a business model, you start a novice tournament in November, and you're going to have a lot of customers
right before the season starts.
You're going October, like late October or November, you'd have them, because it's hard. It's hard to get ice time, and it's half ice, so no one really wants to do it. But if you can get that, you'll get a lot of people in.
So, Struds, you do a lot with the kids. Like, you've coached ever since your kids were really young. I remember you coaching our kids when they were 5, pretty much, and you do a lot of extra ice time on the side, and like, I love watching it because it's like there's somebody in control. There's somebody who knows what they're doing. Now, my question, there's 2 questions. Number 1 is, what do you think? Like, spring hockey's coming up, and that's a big deal. People are starting to talk about it around the rink. These kids are 8 years old. What's your opinion on like spring, summer hockey? Do you think that's too much specialization? Do you just give them the choice and,
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
So my oldest son, we do it. He's 8. We did it last year. The problem is that it gets really intense quite quickly. And I think that at a young age, the focus shouldn't be on winning tournaments. It should be on improving the kids. So I spent a lot of time just on skill development at that age. And quite honestly, I did it. I did it with that in mind. So we'll do a lot of stuff that will make them better skaters, better stick handlers, better passers, and not as much on systems. Now, there are other coaches who are trying to win, and I'm not saying they're wrong, but I think when you're trying to win, you've got to be more into the world of the system play. So like offensive cover or forechecking, defensive stuff, and I'll do some of that, but I think that long term they're better served by becoming better players. So that's the focus of what I do. And I don't love doing it in the spring. We'll be done pretty early. My son could have played on different teams that would go into end of June, and by May I'm done. I'm just done with hockey. I don't want to.
That's the thing about spring is it pretty much coincides exactly with like a baseball season because like when it starts right in May and goes all through May, all through June, and then everything kind of ends so that the kids can have their July, August break, right?
Right.
Well, so like we find ourselves, my kid really wants to play spring hockey, and so we're going to do it again. We're going to do it over at a 3-on-3. This time full ice, getting them ready for Adam. But it's like baseball's twice a week. This hockey's twice a week, right? And that goes on for 8 weeks.
It's a lot.
Right?
It's
a lot for them. But I guess you can gauge if your kid can handle it. But
I grew up when I was in high school. I was playing basketball for our high school team and full-time mid-AAA hockey, and I loved it. Those are my best memories. So my wife will say like, "Geez, the kids are busy." I'm like, "Yeah," but I remember when I did, I loved it, and our kids seemed to like it. So if they push back, then like, okay, well, next year we won't do it this way, right? But like my kids, they want to play soccer. I don't like soccer. I don't like coaching soccer, although I do it, and I'm not good at it. But I do it, and they want to be out there. Sure, let's play soccer. Let's do it. Like I don't care. Play any sport you want. But I think whatever you do, whatever sport you decide to do, if there's going to be extra, there has to be a purpose to it. Just being on the ice to be on the ice to me is a waste of time. What's your purpose? Like, why are we doing this extra 2 months? And once you figure that out, if it makes sense, then do it.
And so I read your thing a long time ago about how they had switched first year novice used to be half ice, second year novice used to be full ice.
Yeah. How dare you call it novice, Chalmers?
And second year novice. I know, we talked about that too.
Very upset about that.
That's still not offending people yet. But they keep scoring second year novice. They didn't in first year novice. Well, our 2011 year was the first time that second year novice was just like first year novice, where they play half ice games. They do not keep score. There's no real penalties. It's more on skill development, like you said, and not as much in trying to, work a breakout or like, have an offensive pressure. I'm finding that these kids are getting better skill wise this year for like more than they did last year. Like this is a year I'm seeing a huge jump because I'm coaching a lot of the same kids I used to. Is that why you agreed with like the fact that they changed it this way?
Well, I think as a coach, it takes the pressure off to have to win because really you don't really know who's winning. I mean, people keep track, but it doesn't matter. Like no one keeps standing, so I can't go home and be shamed because we haven't done anything, right? So you don't have to worry about breakouts as you talked about. I just tell my kids 3 people go, 1 person stay back. Let's just go. And what I want the kids, I believe hockey is just endless decisions with and without the puck. Who has the puck? What do I have to do to be there? So I try to gently guide them to start making choices. If I have the puck and I beat the first player, usually in a small ice, I better move it quick. If I don't, someone's going to take it from me. So they do it 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, hey, whatever, Kane, you might want to just pass that puck after that first. Then you start seeing them, they're figuring it out. You can't just roboticize everything and tell them this is how you play hockey. Like I want them to kind of figure it out on their own. Like if you keep bringing it in front of your net, sooner or later, the other team's going to steal it from you.
Yeah,
and
you're last man back.
And then you come back and they're like, well, that didn't work. I'm like, yeah, what we should maybe have done differently. Well, maybe I go wide. Okay. So they're trying to figure it out a little bit their own. So that's my vision. I haven't been through it, but I feel that's what you just keep making decisions. And eventually when you get on the bigger ice, they've already made these decisions 100 times. Mm-hmm. So now they can do the right thing.
I think this is... Fuck, you sound like an amazing coach.
He is. He really is.
Well, you do. You sound like you take the right approach, which I think is a good segue because, like, you're not just a coach for your kids' teams and whatnot, but you're actually putting on defensive camps here in Edmonton. Yeah. So maybe tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So when I was finished coaching, I had a couple of parents come and ask me if I'd help them with their D, and because it's a hard thing to coach. Like coaching defense it takes a long time, and there's not a lot of guys out there that are just doing it. So I tried it for a couple of mornings. I'm like, you know what? I actually like this. So now it's morphed into this huge camp where I have quite about 200 kids every year come to a spring camp and then 2 summer camps. And, the nice thing about it is I have time to work with the kids in something that's not their coach. So I can go and I work on the basics, good gap control, how to be between the man and the net, where to put your stick, with older kids a little bit on how not to get rocked. Shooting from the point, all the things that coaches don't have time for. Because when you have an hour, if I'm coaching all you guys and I have an hour practice, I'm not going to take 30 minutes out of it to work with breakouts for the D-men. And I work a lot of breakouts, but you can see the improvement. I have kids now coming back year after year, and they are improving on that on the breakouts or walking the line to get a shot or whatever. But you need to put time in. And I get frustrated when coaches call me and say, "Oh, Struddy, what's going on? My D-men suck." I'm like, "Well, do you work with them in practice on breakouts?" No. Okay. So whose fault's that? It sounds like you suck. Like you have to put time in. Like you can't ask. And I've realized this as a coach. If a player keeps making a mistake, it's your job to help them either become a better skater so they don't do it, or to help them, give them the skills so they can get out of that trouble. So if your D-men aren't breaking the puck on, this is for everyone listening, and you don't work on breakouts, whose fault's that? That's not their fault. That's your fault. So that's the kind of stuff I get to work on. So I love it. I never in a million years thought I'd be doing this when I was playing. Never. And now here I am. I love doing it.
And what age groups do you teach?
So I have Adam, Pee Wee, Bantam, and Midget. So I have in May 2nd and 3rd, there's a one for spring, just 2 day, kind of just a little, we kind of pick a topic and do it for 2 days. And then August 10th on the north side of Edmonton, August 17th on the south side. Again, Adam to Midget. And you're on the ice with me for an hour, then you work out for an hour off the ice with D-men related like footwork drills. And so my son now comes into it, and he loves it. Like he did it last year as an underage. He's a bigger kid, but it's a lot of fun. And even if you're a forward, to learn how to defend properly. I mean, like you think about Bergeron, think about Ryan O'Reilly, even Nugent Hopkins, like they're good defensive players and they get the puck back quick and they can attack. You got to learn how to defend. And, it's not as sexy as learning how to toe drag or to go around someone. But if you can get the puck back, I promise you, everyone else in your line is going to want to play with you because you're taking pucks away from guys.
If people wanted more information about these camps that you have, where would they go to get that?
Well, I got a pretty sick website now, JasonStrudwick.com. I just got it.
I can't believe that was available.
Yeah, you know what? I had to buy it off someone. Pretty expensive transaction. Oilers Nation, thank you for letting me buy it. But that's where it is all in. You know what? It's a fun camp and it's a pretty relaxed atmosphere. But I think it's a pretty specialized camp, but it's one that you need to put time in. And, skating's hugely important for a D-man, obviously, and shooting and all that stuff. But just the general time, I know as a coach, you can't put that time in. You don't have time.
Those novice practices, especially, I mean, they go by quick. And you have a practice plan, you do a 10-minute warm-up, and then 3 sections, and then a fun game at the end. Yeah. And you're not getting to specialize too much on stuff. You basically have to have drills that are, working on pivoting, edge control, with a puck, without a puck, and maybe some, one-on-one type of small battle drills because we are in a small spot. So
it's quick. It happens
that's why those camps are good.
So how many kids do you have enrolled in your camps right now?
Well, we just started registration about a month ago. So they're about, I don't know, half full already. It doesn't take long.
Well, that's unreal. And what's like the mission? Like how many kids do you want to try to get to?
So in the spring one, usually I have about 50 to 55, or actually about 60, probably 60. Then in the one in the north side, I can handle about 45. Then on the south side, that's a big one. I usually have about 130, 140 kids.
Yeah, ever since you moved to the south side, us White Mud Westers, we're not getting your emails anymore.
I know. Well, it's hard because you know what? It's funny. I'm trying.
Because it gets full.
Well, it does. No, I do, but I'm off. I'm not very good at reaching out and be like, "Hey, do you want to come?" Because I feel it's a little bit like, like, "Hey, you're my friend. Do you want to bring your kid to my camp?" So I try to reach out to people, and like usually, if you've come the last couple of years, I'll definitely email you and say, "Hey, this is what's going on."
Yeah.
That's funny. I was sending out emails to people I thought were in my camp last year, and I get an email back. Please stop sending emails. My son is 24 and he has 2 kids. So I write back like, well, maybe their kids want to come.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, planning for the next generation. Well, that's super cool. So looks like you're building something good. Obviously, people have had the chance to kind of hear Strudwick's approach to all this. So yeah, help him hit his goal.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And like, I'm passionate about coaching. So even if you have any questions about coaching, you can shoot me an email at info@jasonstrudwick.com, I think it is, or .com, I think what it is. And like, I love, because people do send me a lot of emails, and I try to help people learn how to coach better, and just approaches to use. Like it's hard being a coach and you've never coached. It's hard.
Yeah,
people think it's easy, but you're looking up in the stands and there's Jimmy of this Tim Hortons judging what you're doing. You have to be prepared and organized. And so I'm very happy to share everything I know.
Cool.
And the community leagues, they give you the basis of what you should be, doing.
Yeah.
But there is, there's a lot of adapting you have to do.
Yeah.
That I've noticed. And, all the parents on our team that help, there's about 4 or 5 of us dads, and none of us have a background in it, right? Like, we've had to figure this out. And so, yeah, that could be helpful, those coaching clinics too.
Yeah.
Very cool. So before we let you go, probably one more subject as an Oilers fan. We didn't even really touch too much. Like,
didn't even talk Super Bowl or anything.
Well, I know, and a lot of people, like we didn't talk about your time with the Oilers. So maybe that's a podcast for another day, which we love to do, especially the story of the come up and all that stuff. But I think we want to maybe play Oilers GM with you. But before we do, I want to shout out our good friends / myself at Oodle Noodle. We're about to launch our 13th store in the Terwillegar area. So we're going to be neighbors here
right
soon,
over.
Struds.
Yeah, okay, where exactly is this one?
So it's in the same, I hate to use the term strip mall, as the Tim Hortons.
On 23rd and Riverbend?
On 23rd and 23rd and Rabbit Hill Road, yeah. So very high
what did you take over?
Area. It was the Taco Del Mar.
Oh, I know. Okay,
Taco
Del
Mar.
Good.
Yeah, so we took over the Taco Del Mar and
upgrade.
converted. Yeah, well, we like to think so, and so that opens right away. So now we can actually deliver to all of that area, which was an area we couldn't touch for a long time. So very excited. Location number 13, lucky 13, as I like to say.
Yeah. Also, Jay, Oodle Noodle is giving away a dream trip for 2 to Thailand.
Ooh, yes.
So you can check out Oodle_Noodle on Twitter or at Oodle Noodlegram on Instagram to get all the details you need. Super simple contest to enter. All you need to do is share, follow the nudes, follow AMA Travel, and tag your travel buddy, and you will be entered to win that contest. The draw will be happening in mid-March. Definitely want to get involved in that one because that is fantastic.
So yeah, super. Yeah, it's easy to enter, so just check out social media. But speaking of Instagram, I think we would be remiss not to bring this up actually before we jump into Oilers GM with Jason Strudwick. Is we are under attack, Struds. Instagram, for some reason, all of a sudden does not like us.
Really?
And last week, they did some kind of algorithm change, and all of a sudden, Oilers Nation, official Oilers Nation, as an Instagram account is shut.
Come on.
And then we relaunched it, and then it got shut again. So now we have a new account called Nation_ON that we're doing to try to bring people back. But this was an account that had 72,000 followers.
What? And didn't you just lose another one?
We just lost Leafs Nation.
Yeah.
So we are under attack. So we're going to fight the fight to get it back. This is the internet game. It's tough. We can't get a hold of anyone. We're going to talk to some partners in this space, and we've already reached out, but we're going to try to also, knock on the door of Instagram wherever we can. You just can't get a person.
Yeah, sure.
So the thing we'd like to actually ask our audience is that anytime you can on any of our posts is ask Instagram, tag them, and let them know that you want official Oilers Nation back, and let's see what kind of noise we can make. Because it's very annoying. This is the channel that we use. Like, yes, we write a bunch of content and people consume it, and we have a content or a comment section where people can interact with one another. But it's social media is where we actually engage and grow the community. It's a way where we can entertain people by putting what we think is funny stuff, and hopefully people like what we do. But also, it's a place for people to submit stuff to us, and then we share a lot of community stuff. So it's a huge community builder. We use it to promote our events, to bring the community together. We do it to, in the week that we haven't had the account, we had the turtle stunt, and then we had a goalie fight. These are just crazy events, right? So whatever. I'm not here to cry poor. This is, we'll start a new account and we'll get it back up, or we'll fight the fight to get it back. But if anyone's ever been entertained with anything that we've done or thought it was funny, maybe on one of our posts, shout out Instagram and tell them they've made a mistake. But
Oilers GM time.
Oilers GM time. So trade deadline approaching. We have a super tight galvanized squad right now. So obviously we're not the perfect team yet, but I think as a group it's getting tight. What do you foresee the needs, and could you maybe attach some names to those needs?
So I've been very, very much on the side that I think that this is not the year to go all in. I think that the Oilers we're starting to see the fruits of drafting, developing, going. We look at this team now with Yamamoto, Bear, Benson, wherever he's at, Jones. I'm probably missing someone, but the guys are starting to come up, and there's hopefully a pipeline coming behind. Mm-hmm. You can't always do that by trading assets away. Look at what, when they made the Reinhardt trade, they lost a first and a second. Just to get Chiarelli, I think it was a third, and get Tom McClellan as a second. So that's 4 picks. a first, 2 seconds, and a third, or even it's a first, a second, third, whatever it is, it's 4 picks. If one of those guys is a top 9 forward, this team looks vastly different. Vastly different.
And we whiffed on Puljujärvi as well.
Well, so yeah, that's a whole, but that's bad development, right? So now they have on a different, so let's go, we can count. So that's 5 guys. If one of those is a forward, we're not even worried about trading for a forward because you already have it. So, but the recent play since that break has made me soften my position, because you have to also look at the team you have in front of you, and you have to reward guys in the team for playing so hard. So they deserve help. You know, they deserve reinforcements. So what are you willing to trade for? Like, what are you willing to give up? And I'm of the mindset, if you're going to trade for someone, he has to have some time on his contract.
Agreed.
You can't just trade for, like, I know people like Taylor. I like Taylor Hall too, but I'm not trading for him because he has no time on his contract. It has to be someone, you know, like a guy like Zucker, is a Jason Zucker out of Mini. Now, a player like that, I'm not saying that guy, but he has, I think, 2 years left. So what does that price tag look like? But he comes in, and for him, he's like, okay, I'm here for this run, but I'm also here for 2 more years. So now he can get comfortable playing with McDavid or playing, I don't know wherever he's going to play. But so my focus as a GM would be to reinforce the top 9 with something that isn't going to kill me long term, right? So the first round pick, I better get someone who has, you know, 2 or 3, 4 years on their deal, like a JT Miller. JT Miller's worked out unbelievably well for Vancouver.
Yeah, and a lot of people were hating on that trade at the beginning. Yeah,
so it takes confidence to make that trade, but it was done at a trade at the draft, so we don't have the luxury of doing that now. But so I am changed. So I'm not looking at the back end, because I think Broberg's coming at some point. I think Bouchard's going to come. So you have those guys, Jones and Bear are there. I don't want to give up a lot back there. I'm looking more up front. I just want a top 9 player with term that brings speed and some hustle to the Soldiers lineup. So the best thing I can give you is Zucker. You know, I know people are Pajot. I think he's going to be too expensive.
He's a rental though, anyways.
Yeah, and I don't want rentals, and I don't want a guy that I'm like, oh, we'll trade from and maybe sign him. Well, that signing Pajot might be $4 or $5 million. That's a lot for a third line player. So you got to go a little bit of bargain hunting, but it's going to probably be a player we haven't really thought of even.
Well, what do you think about, in the comment section on the website, especially right now, the guys that they're looking at trading, or the readers, the citizens of the nation, of course, is guys like Adam Larson's only got 1 year left on his deal. Chris Russell's in the same thing. Do you think now's the time to move a guy like that, or is it too soon? Because you do need veterans on your back end, especially for a playoff run.
I think that'd be a huge mistake. You know, you look at this group, you need depth in the playoffs for D. So you've got the 2 Swedes, you've got Nurse and Bear, established top 4. Then, you know, was it Russell, Jones, Benning? That's top 7. You can live with those guys. They can pop up if they need and play some minutes, but you move Larson out. Now, who else is going up there? Is it Benning, who's played well, but is he ready to play 20-some minutes in the playoffs? That's a concern. Now, someone else goes down. Now, so you're looking down like, okay, Joel Pearson, is he coming up? Or Willie Laxton? Can those guys play 20 minutes? So you really make a whole, you got to give this team a chance. You've got to they've worked hard together. So I don't think you're taking anyone off the roster to move them out. To bring someone in. I think you got to look off the roster, you know, and a guy I'd actually look at, although how much he has, is Puljujärvi and Lagesson. Those are 2 guys that I would look at moving, because, you know, Lagesson, I think he could be an NHL defenseman, but, you know, you got to give up something, and players want young D-men. And you already have Baron Jones in there, so you're kind of comfortable with that.
So a slower draft deadline day would be a good one for us.
Trade deadline or draft?
Trade deadline.
Yeah.
Did I say draft deadline?
Well, it depends what, like, I don't want to give up the future for now. Like a Broberg, Bouchard, not a chance. Any of those good, McLeod, no. Benson, no. Lavoie, no. Like, so you're getting pretty stuff. Samurkov, you're willing to give him up. And what is that value for him, right? But to find a guy with some term left that could play in your top 9, like, to me, that's preferably a guy that can maybe swing into the middle if you need, but just add help. Because now all of a sudden that third line could be, maybe he plays where Neil is, and Neil comes down and plays on the third line with Cheyenne and Archibald, like, or you mix guys around, but you get just more depth. Then it pushes guys down, like a Jujar down the 4th line, and then just makes that line stronger. So that's what I think. And you got to reward. I remember when I was on teams, they're doing well. You just wanted the GM to believe in you. Say, we're going to make a trade. And when they add it, you're like, yes, he believes in us, and you're going. And if you don't do anything, it's not the end of the world, but you also want to say, hey, guys, thank you. You've done a good job.
I had a buddy who played junior and like scrappy, like fighting for playoff spot type team, but they were getting to that, like they were on the right path.
Yeah.
And GM did nothing at the trade deadline, and they threw all of their white towels on the floor in the dressing room when the GM walked in, just saying, like, you give up, we give up.
You got to give us a chance. Like, you got to give the guys a chance. I mean, it has to be reasonable. Like, you're not trading something good for the future as a GM. That's what you have to balance.
Yeah.
But even a small, like something not minor for again Zucker, but something that just says, guys, we've got you. We believe in you. That goes a long way to bolstering that group.
Like I'm preaching like the time is now situation in the sense of like, but I get there's phases to it because like, you know, McDavid is like now going into like peak prime mode, and we have our window has to be open. The fact that it hasn't opened yet is a shame. But now this year it looks like it's now open a crack, and that's good. So what I think I totally agree with you. I don't think you can touch our D right now because they're good. They're good enough, and I don't think you want to disrupt that. But yeah, at the trade deadline, I think the move is to try to move something to get a player exactly that's either still under team control, still has some term left. So like you said, Zucker, that's a name I've thrown around as well. Athanasiou, just because of the Holland, the Yzerman connection. I don't know what your thoughts are on him. But then I think you make like the bigger moves at the draft, and that's when you do some roster changes, and then you really kind of try to go ham and build those like.
Well, Chris Russell's gone after this year. I like Chris Russell, but his contract, it gives you no room to move.
Yep.
And he's making after the 1st of July, I think he's down to $1.5 million. Yep. So someone's going to take him, and he can still play.
Oh yeah.
But it's not the player; it's the contract you're moving. Yep. And that's just fact.
That's the business of it. It's unfortunate.
Sam Gagner has played his heart out. He's played his heart out. I would definitely like to bring him back next year, but not at $3.5 million.
Well, and I don't think he would command that. Like if you can bring him back for $750 to $1 million, that's a no-brainer.
Say, Sam, we'd love to have you back, and it's not the person; it's just the contract. You have to manage your cap because you got to give Nurse a deal. You've just given Casson. You got to give Bear a deal. You got to figure out the backup goalie. You know, if Mike Smith doesn't come back, or what does that look like? So it's you're trading contracts. It's not the people. It's because it seems like they're all good people.
Especially with word coming out today that Darnell Nurse is apparently seeking $8 million. He's using Jacob Trouba as his comparable.
But that's every negotiation, right? Like if I'm just selling my house, I'm like, it's $1 million and it's like listed for 600, right? Like everyone know, like that's just the way it is. So you start high, but if he's only at 8 million, not only, but I mean, if you're trying to get him down to around where Morrissey, if he said more than that, I'd be a little more concerned.
What do you think? Like, fuck. That drives me nuts. That actually makes me get a little bit irate to see that's going out there. I get it's a negotiation, but still, it's very audacious.
I knew that one.
Yeah.
Is it the time too for that?
Well,
I think you want to get it done as soon as you can.
You do 100%, but you also don't want it to disrupt kind of like the mojo that you're creating with your team and kind of hanging a dark cloud. But I'm with you there. What do you think? If you're the Oilers, what's a fair contract for Darnell Nurse?
Well, I don't.
Given what you know about his game,
I can't go any lower than Morrissey. I mean, is he that much
like
different?
6'2",
I think.
6'2",
So yeah, I'd love to say 4. I mean,
well, of course,
but it has to be. There's two sides in every negotiation, and Darnell Nurse is not a complete player. I believe he to me is what the Oilers have lacked for a while, is a minute-eating defenseman. You go out there, he's just going to eat minutes. He seems to have limitless energy. He's tough. He's not a power play guy. He can carry the puck well. I'd like to just keep working on those quick little plays out of his zone, and those types of things. But he's a minute eater, like Jay Bouwmeester. You just go out there and you want him to keep removing the mistakes out of his game, so he just can play 20, 25 minutes and he eats those minutes. So there's value to that.
Yeah.
And because if people, I've seen people suggest, well, let's trade him away. Okay, you're going to trade him away. Who eats those minutes? Is it Chris Russell and Caleb Jones? Not today. They're not ready to do that today. So you have to keep those guys. And so if you could get them for the same Morrissey, I'm like, of course you want less. Every deal you want less so you have more cap room, but there's two sides in every deal.
Oh, well,
you have
of
to
course.
give them
Can I just jump in here? Yeah. Where would you rank Nurse right now on the Oilers defense? Is Clefbaum still your number one?
I think I've got him number one.
Ethan Bear's pretty close to being top 3.
On this, I'd probably be 1, 2, 3, somewhere in there.
So I'm with Jay here. What drives me crazy with this number, I get it, it's the market, but Josh Morrissey is the number 1 guy in Winnipeg.
Yeah, but they don't have a very good D.
But that's what I mean. So can you pay Darnell Nurse that amount of money when he's going to be 3-4 on your team?
But if you look at the point totals, are that much different? They're the same birth year. So I'd love to say 5.75. I'd love to have that, but the Trouba deal is a reach. There's no doubt.
Yeah, no, 100%. But if that's the price, the 6.25 or whatever, there's probably now because a year or two is elapsed, so now 6.5 or whatever it's going to be. Now, if you're the Oilers, do you want Darnell Nurse on your team at 6.5, or do you want to try to move that to and I know you're saying trying to replace him is tough. But maybe there's another deal at play to get to fill him for a guy that's maybe on a $4 million deal to play in that like 3-4 role. Like, do you think like that's the time to maybe move? When I say move on, not the bad way, it's just like the business of the game, being like, okay, well, if this is what the market wants for him, well, then I'll let him go get that in the market, and I'm going to trade and try to get something valuable in a different position.
So now you're making 2 trades. So now you're trading Nurse out for something, and then you got to trade something for the thing you just got to get another Darnell Nurse that's cheaper.
Yeah. But now I've got more money. But now I've got more money.
I know, but how often do you see you trade a top 4D and you get a top 4D back?
So that ties
depends what you're willing to give up, though, right? Because we are going to have to enter the point, as every good team does, is we have to start leveraging the future to start going on a run. So this is like, and that's why I don't think that happens at this traded line, but it starts happening at the draft.
Well, also,
it has to. It has to start happening because Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are still young, but like the NHL's different. Like 27 now is like the death age.
I think what you're trying to. I think what the way that you're feeling right now is that like the time is now. The time is now. Exactly the opposite of what Struds kind of said was the time is not right now.
There's phases to the time is now.
But when it comes to Darnell Nurse, I don't analyze defensemen as much as I analyze forwards. I just never played D. I played forward. Yeah. When I look at him, you said that he's got some flaws in his game that he needs to take some of the mistakes away. Now, I see him as a good puck moving defenseman. I think he can skate great. He can rush the puck. You say he eats minutes, and he's tough. I
love his toughness.
So those are stuff those are things that are like hard to replace in him. Mm-hmm. What's his in your game, in your mind? What's his flaws right now?
He gets puck focused. To me, he's too often puck focused.
So in our own zone, like he's staring at the corner, not worrying about what's behind him.
Something that's easily corruptible, and I'm sure Playfair is working on with that. But to get back to your point, like you got to remember, in hopefully within 18 months, Bouchard's on this team, and Broberg's really close. Mm-hmm. So that might be a time to have a conversation move out. But I don't see a lot of left defensemen that are coming up that are anything close to Darnell Nurse. Would you feel comfortable having Caleb Jones in a playoff series playing 22 minutes a night?
This season, no, but maybe next season, right? Like,
but you don't know that.
But I know you don't know right now. And I'm not saying we should move on from Nurse. It's more just the discussion of like, if this is what it's going to cost, and we can go to market and get someone who's already got like 4 years left in their contract at $4 million, who locked in 3 years ago. Right.
But no one's going to make that trade.
Well, but what if we're giving a first round pick and
okay, so you're going to trade Nurse and a first rounder for a cheaper D-man.
For a top 6 forward that we're going to get in return for Nurse, and then we're going to go to market on another trade to then fill the hole of Nurse.
So how easy to make trades?
If you're willing to pay the market, there's always.
So now you're desperate because you need another D-man. So they know that, and now you're sucking more assets out of your pipeline.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like I agree. Now's not the time. I want when Bouchard gets here, and if he's as good as people think he can be.
What do you think of him?
Now, well, I've only seen him play a couple times, but I love his offensive upside. If he's your third pairing right defenseman, he's wheeling dealing like that, creating offense. Come on, a right shot D-man on the power play.
What about Broberg?
I love the way he
can skate. He can skate.
But I see him as a minute eater too. Those minute eaters like Parayko and Bouwmeester completely changed the St. Louis Blues when they got together because they just 8 minutes and defended. So you throw those two guys out there, and so who did I say? Or no.
But Broberg and Bouchard, do we see them like what's their potential like next year?
No, I don't know. I think Broberg. I don't even know if Broberg come over next year. Like
Broberg's
still. So we got a long road with him.
Right, but Bouchard. Let's say by next Christmas, Bouchard's on your right side, and maybe you're like, hey, you know what, Nurse or Larson is expendable, but I don't know if you gotta just do it with time. You want the guys to come push people out of their spots.
And so what Jay's seeing is. That's next Christmas where we still have like our time clock is just ticking on McDavid.
But that's the thing, right? It's at some point, like it's saying, like when I'm saying the time is now. Okay, we're gonna make the playoffs. I'm not expecting us to go on a deep run and bring on rentals. Like that is not the time for that.
Right.
We're not there yet. But there is at the trade deadline. There's maybe that opportunity to get someone with term. Maybe there is.
Yeah.
And if that's there, let's do it. That can go in the top 9, preferably the top 6. And I think that's great. But then I think at the draft, you have to start wheeling and dealing a little bit.
But I consider Darnell to be a core player on this team. And when you fuck with core all the time.
No, that's true. And you don't want to. So so what I don't know is I don't know his role in the room. Like if he's a really significant piece to the room and he's got some flaws that can be coached.
Yeah.
Then let's do it. But like I also want us to like take, a step back and look from the outside and be like, hey, well then is like spending $6.5 million on this guy, like
because he's worth it. But imagine if he's not on this team. what does the back end look like?
Right now, I'm with you. And trust me, I'm creating a dream scenario where this goes and this comes back and all this.
I'm trying to lead you down the road. Those two trades aren't happening.
You're trying to coach me right now.
Yeah. So basically what happens though, like if Nurse leaves, he brings an element the team doesn't have. And I recognize the money might be a little high, but you've known him since he was 18. Would you rather go out and get Jay Downton, you haven't known for I met him at he came to came to Edmonton for a week. Yeah. I seemed like a pretty good guy. Then he find out this guy is like crazy or does something like
devil you don't know, buddy.
You'd got to take what you know. Like good teams keep their players. They don't just ship them out.
I'm not, and so I'm not saying we should trade.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
I want us to analyze the number and then to talk about the other side of it, right? Being like, are we getting that value?
Well, just be like I said, 6
you're right.
5. Here you go.
There's one thing we've been doing wrong over the last 10 years is we keep changing the core of the room.
Well, that's right. So Jay Bouwmeester, I think 7 or 8 years ago, was making $6.5 million. Is he that much worse than Jay Bouwmeester? What he brings? Like if he's your Jay Bouwmeester with more nasty and he just eats minutes and puts up 20, 30 points a year, are you upset?
You're saying Darnell Nurse is as good as Jay Bouwmeester?
I think he skates pretty well. I think he's not as good a skater, but he moves really well.
Yeah.
He is. I think he can carry the puck as well as Jay. He's meaner than Jay.
Yeah, that's true.
But does he defend as well? Probably not just right now. But I'm talking as comparable players on a championship team.
Yeah,
he was let's call Jay the fourth D-man on that Blues team.
Yeah,
at $6.5 million.
Now you just said something very powerful there. Championship team. Like at some point, we also need to understand building a championship team means not everyone gets market rate.
Right, but I think that when you look, you can also give up on pieces you have that are there.
Oh no! I'm saying, but for Nurse, but if Nurse is buying in,
yeah,
right, and
why should he take less?
Yeah, you're wishful thinking.
But if everyone's taking less,
you get the deals on the lower end guys.
Like Cassian didn't take less.
Well, it depends because you had people publicly saying you should get paid $4 to $5 million.
Right.
Like,
did any of the Leafs take less?
Well, this is why the Leafs are horrific and are doomed.
It's a nice thought.
But does Boston take less? And how long have they been? How long has it been? Have they been Pasternak, Marchand, Bergeron?
To me, a big problem on this.
Pittsburgh, do they take less? Yes.
To me, a big problem on this team is
taking less only works if everyone does it, and that has to come from your leader to help. Right. Like, hey, like let's try to win here now.
Yeah, no,
I'm not trying to bitch. It's just like if Darnell Nurse is worth it and that's a deal, then fucking great.
Yeah, I don't think it's a deal, but that's the deal.
Yeah, but like Leon Draisaitl, $8.5 million is a deal.
At the time, were you saying that?
I was just happy we had him.
So what's the difference between Darnell? You like Leon better?
Leon's got like crazy offensive upside. So at the time when we needed offense, you knew Leon was one of the answers.
Yeah, it could have gone also. He may have only topped out as a 65-point player.
Yeah, but I didn't think he would have.
Okay, so you're taking a risk on a guy improving.
yes.
Oh, geez, that's crazy.
To me, a big problem on this team.
Wow. So can Darnell Nurse not improve?
This guy didn't get a bridge deal. I said this guy didn't get a bridge deal. And once again, I'm fucking coming off, but this is good.
This is the same. This is the Jay that started Oilers Nation. This is the Oilers
spawning a debate. I want to. Hey,
it's illogical sometimes.
It's good that we can talk like this though now because we're actually in a position to talk like this.
I think we just have to keep in mind that this Jay is also the guy that wanted to trade for Josh Hosang. So I think we also have to everything he puts out. Everything puts out. We also have to understand.
I thought it was a worthy gamble, but then Struds immediately, But hey, I'm open to my opinion, and then I'll also listen. And now I agree. Struds set me straight, and now I'm not the president. I stepped down as the president of the Josh Hosang fan club.
So in how many months will it take for you to realize?
Sometimes things are knee jerk. Like
always be coaching.
The big thing I'm on. The big thing I'm on is, and I still get skewered for it. Is the thought of trading Bouchard.
Yeah, because you said he didn't have the fire.
I don't know if he has the fire.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes you can't coach the fire.
How would you know that right now?
Yeah. See, that's the problem. I haven't seen him play. I want to see him play. I think he gets games at some point this year.
Yeah.
Just like I can't wait to see Tyler Benson.
That guy I'm excited for.
If Tyler Benson can come in and contribute on the third line, I think this just solves a lot of issues for the Oilers.
Well,
a ton of issues.
Maybe he's our trade deadline acquisition that we're talking about, right?
But that's why I think, just to go back to wrap this up, every time you draft a player properly and develop them properly, and they come up, you're force feeding. You're feeding your team from underneath, and it's pushing other guys out. So if Benson can contribute, Jujar is on really thin ice. Really thin ice.
I think he probably already is.
He is right now.
But that's the thing. You want those guys that come up. You want people to come up. Like I hope in a year and a half, Ryan McLeod is pushing other people out. And you're like, well, you know what? we don't need that second year Shan's deal because, and I'm just using him, not saying it, but because this guy's come in and you push guys out, and we got to make room for the young guys. So I'm very leery at this trade deadline about giving away future assets for just today to get into one round, but I know it makes money. So, because
to me, looking at puckpedia.com, a big problem that the Oilers have next year is that they've got roughly $4.6 million in dead cap space with the Sekera buyout. They're still paying Pouliot amazingly. Lucic has got some retained salary on there, so that's a big problem. And also, Jay, we're in the last year of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' contract last year, and that we need some space from a boy.
Yeah,
you got to keep him.
It's an interesting conversation because it's a tough. How much are you willing to pay him?
Well, that's
he's a 7.5
infinite,
guy
but do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
First, how many points did he have last year?
Last year he had 69. This year he's on pace over a full season of 65.
Yeah, so 60 points. So you're probably not wrong with that. That's a lot of money. Could you get a cheaper player? That's the guy you might have to move. You might have to move him to get a cheaper player.
And see, once again, that's why that's the same approach about talking about like Darnell Nurse is like, okay, we have to challenge, be like, okay, like maybe we need a cheaper person in that role. But like, if there's one guy that fucking deserves a break is the Nuge.
Yeah.
Like that guy has been a loyal Oiler.
And he still looks like he's still 22, right?
Yeah. And like tough. That's going to be a really tough conversation. Because let's say the Oilers are in a really good playoff spot next year and you're not going to resign him. You just keep him. And then he walks away at the end of the year as UFA. That's a really tough one.
But this goes back to the philosophy of like trying to get, the core to try to take a little bit less.
Well, I don't know how much less. I mean, he's already at 6. He's done pretty well for himself.
He's set up.
It's not like he's hurting, but I don't know. I don't know if you can get him for 7.5 even. I don't know. I don't know what the number is. A UFA hitting the market. I have to look at some recent comparables, but pretty crazy.
It is. It's crazy to think, and it gives me shrills because like that guy. Yeah. Guy's like that. You want that guy on your team in the playoffs.
But the next year, if you look at the cap, they've got a lot of relief.
Yep.
Pouliot's off. Sekera drops down to 1.5.
Yep.
So I think I want to say it was $2 million off the top of my head. It comes off the cap, or roughly
2.25.
Yeah, so that's a lot. So and also the cap will hopefully go up. So that's a spread there. So you have to remember that's not next year; it's a year after next. So.
When you're looking at guys too, like Sam Gagner, we talked about, he's not going to be a 3-2 next year. Brandon Manning comes off next year. I'm betting that they move Jujar, even though 1.2 isn't a lot, but that's still.
But you replace him with the same value player, right?
Yeah, or maybe I could see an Alex Chiasson at 2-1 going because that's expensive for what he's offering at this point. But who knows?
Yeah.
A lot of tough decisions for sure for the Oilers coming up.
Are they making the playoffs?
I think at this point, yeah.
Excellent. I love it.
I wasn't feeling it before Christmas, but now.
Good.
I've got a lot of money on them making the playoffs.
What do we think about tonight? Because I want to put some money on this game. To Struds' point, like it all depends how much they celebrated this weekend, and deservingly so. So tonight's a coin flip. Like they could lose this game, but then I think they'll win at home against San Jose.
Yeah, I think that this is a game that you really need to be a mature team and just do everything right. Don't take any chances. And Arizona's having some tough time between the pipes. So just get pucks and don't beat yourself.
And no Ekman Larson.
Yeah, don't beat yourself. Make them beat you, and then they'll give you chances.
So we're going Oilers and the under of 6?
I think under is a good bet. And anytime you're playing them, it's a good bet.
I feel like this is an overtime loss. That's just how
I would take that. Like that's a point. Like so,
I agree.
I'm going in with low expectations this game because like these guys deserve a night off.
Yeah.
Sharks and Flames play too.
Yeah, it's a good.
It's
Sharks
fun. It's fun hockey from now on. I like when the Oilers are in this position. It's always fun.
Buddy,
way better than looking at draft
man.
positions.
Yeah,
man. I just hope when we're down in Vegas that they fucking win. Oh God, it'll be so good.
The craps will be so nice.
The craps will just be. I don't care how much I lose.
Throwing the bones around.
Cool. Well, Struds, thanks.
Good times, guys.
Sure,
thanks for having me.
I told you we'd be here for an hour. I think it's been like 9 hours, but everyone go check out Struds' decamp at jasonstrudwick.com. You should probably offer some men's league advice because there's guys like myself that probably use some help on the breakout.
Not a lot of defense on in the men's league.
Or just focus on the offensive side of defense for men's league.
Skating. Let's just work on skating.
Yeah. How do you feel about the full cage in the men's league?
I don't like it, but I get it.
I lost a tooth and I put a full cage on.
I almost lost my nose.
I almost quit because I like to talk.
Do you have a roller bag too?
No.
There should be no roller bags in men's league. Like you should just, if you're listening to this, you have a roller bag, just quit. Throw your bag.
Couldn't agree more. People literally wheel in with their bags like teammates.
It's embarrassing.
And I'm like, God, man.
That's for kids, not for adults. Be a man.
And it's barely for kids.
Yeah, and women too. You shouldn't be wheeling bags.
No, you carry your bag.
100%.
And what do you drink on a ski hill? Do you have to take Fireball? Do you ski lots?
Sometimes, yeah, beer, I guess. I don't know.
What about on the chairlift?
So like when you're on
never,
the
never on the chair.
You know what we do?
Focused.
So we're going on a big ski
focus on greatness.
We're going to Panorama this weekend.
Okay, I'll take you to my ski school.
And we take a backpack, and what we do is we put a couple of bottles of red wine in there and a bottle of Fireball.
Really?
And then we get off the chairlift at the top of the mountain. We ski to like an area full of trees.
Yeah.
Fresh snow in there, hopefully. You pop down into a snow chair, and then you drink a full bottle
just
of
have a little
red
mini
wine.
happy hour.
8 of us just sitting there.
I'll teach you how to ski
So
one
you're really
day.
not skiing then. You're drinking.
Oh, buddy. No.
I try to do as little skiing as possible. I don't get hurt.
I pride myself is I'll get like 20 to 25 hot laps in and like 4 chalet visits. Like I am there to work.
All right.
He's one of those hardcores. I can't
believe it.
fucking stand him.
Well, maybe
Sometimes
one day.
Well, the best is too, like you go up to the chalet and you have a drink or two, and then you go and like bang out a bunch of runs, and you've burned off that booze, and you're ready for another one. It's the perfect crime.
Does sound pretty good. Yeah. Okay.
So, anyways,
I'll take your word for it.
Anyways, on that note, we're gonna ski out of here. Terrible segue. That's it.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Thanks for coming, buddy.
Good luck.
Later.
Great job on making it through the entire hour of the Real Life Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from.